Hello and welcome to Pursuit's Spring 2024 release event. I'm your host, Mike Vichick, Pursuit's co-founder and CEO. My fellow co-founder, Brandon Max, and I started Pursuit with a very simple mission, but one we know will be hard to realize, making it easy to work with government. Government plays an incredibly important role in every American's life, and the people working in government are incredibly hardworking, well-intentioned public servants. That's why the last thing anyone wants is to be seen as wasting public money. So whenever there is a perceived waste of public money, a natural reaction is to create a new rule so that that never happens again. After decades, though, these rules start to stack up. They make it difficult and costly to work with government and harder than ever to break into it. As we see it, the irony is that the very rules intended to ensure public money was well spent guarantee it's wasted. Because these rules become a barrier to entry. They lock in incumbents and they raise costs and complexity for new entrants. Pursuit's mission is to solve that problem, making it easy to work with government. Now, to be clear, we're not saying that all rules are bad. We are saying that the administrative burden of compliance makes it more expensive and more complicated to work with government, which benefits the people with an incumbent's mindset. It does not benefit those who want a more perfect union, taxpayers and innovators alike. So, how do you solve that problem? Well, imagine sitting down in a room filled with a bunch of government vendors and contractors. You put them in front of a whiteboard and you give them a bunch of markers, and you ask them to write down every problem they face working with government. Then you sit down with companies who could work with government but choose not to, and then ask, why don't you? Now, if you imagine an AI and software company whose entire reason for existence is to solve those problems that were just written on the whiteboard, well, if you did that exercise, and we have, you'll probably see that the buckets fall into a finite number of camps. Number one, licensing, registration, certification. Second, targeting and demand gen. Then proposals. Then contract negotiation. And finally, contract compliance and post-sale management. But any halfway decent startup founder knows that you can't eat a whole elephant at once. Yes, we need to think big, but we also need to start small and act fast. And as a company that's 6 months into our life, we already have some of the largest GovTech companies in the world using our platform, Flock Safety and Granicus, to name two. And we also have some of the best up-and-coming venture-backed companies in Polko, Polymorphic, and Revela. We're honored to be all of their partners. And thus far, there are 3 reasons why they've chosen Pursuit. And in today's release, we're going to go deep on all of them. First up, contact data. Pursuit reads every government website, every PDF, and soon, every meeting transcript. From there, we extract all kinds of information, in this case, contacts. We verify and enhance those contacts and pump them directly into Salesforce or HubSpot. We will watch for people to change roles, and we'll update those people appropriately inside your CRM. So for the first time, your contacts can finally be on autopilot, and your sales teams can worry about bigger fish that they have to fry. Second, entity data and win probabilities. Based on the data that's already in your CRM and the data that's already in Pursuit, we calculate a win probability for each account and product. These win probabilities change every day too, based on deals you're winning or losing. And based on data from the outside world, like new budgets, new ACFRs, city council meetings, and so on. So at Pursuit, when your reps sit down at their computers in the morning, they'll be targeting the exact right people at the exact right time. Third, pipeline generation. We want Pursuit's pipeline generation to be the ultimate put your money where your mouth is statement. We will use our own contacts and entities data to be a BDR org for hire. We will sign up for putting qualified meetings on your AE's calendars. And today, once we're done with our product updates, I'm going to chat with Grant Drzyzga, co-founder and CEO of Revela, a first mark-backed company who helps cities and universities better manage their properties and loan programs. Now, let's talk contacts.
Does your CRM have too many out-of-date government contacts? Or is it missing contact info for key personas? That used to come with the territory of selling to government, but not anymore. Pursuit's contact intelligence system has a list of all the government entities in the USA and a website for each. From there, Pursuit reads every page, PDF, and soon meeting transcript. It also reads other publicly available government databases. This is the foundation of data for Pursuit's contact intelligence system to go to work. As Pursuit reads over all the government information, it will identify and extract contact information, such as Tyler Johnson, the Director of Finance for Enbridge Public Schools. To find more information on Tyler, Pursuit automatically searches for Tyler. Here it finds more documents about him. In this case, it's a directory for all the finance and operations team. It contains new information on Tyler, his phone number. The page also contains contact information for a number of other people, and interestingly, it has their email addresses, but still no email for Tyler. After pulling the emails for Enbridge, Pursuit identifies a pattern. The email pattern is first initial, last name, at the domain. Just like any human would, Pursuit guesses Tyler's email is tjohnson@enbridgeschools.org. But if you're a seller, you want to know the email is accurate. That's why Pursuit has a multi-step email verification process built in. One of the steps is to programmatically Google the email address that we guessed. Lo and behold, one of the documents that returns is a PDF that seems to contain the email address we guessed. Pursuit navigates to the PDF, which is on the Enbridge Schools website, and indeed finds the guest email explicitly stated at the bottom of a page. Bingo, confirmed. But that doesn't stop Tyler's journey. Imagine Pursuit also found a contact for Tyler already in your database. And no one likes dupes. Pursuit uses an AI deduplication process to merge the two contacts and intelligently merge those two contacts into one. Once that all your database has been populated with new contacts and any duplicate records have been merged, Pursuit creates a confidence score for each contact. Confidence scores tell you whether the data is likely to be accurate and current. This process involved more than 10 steps, but some include programmatically Googling the contact, looking them up on LinkedIn, checking the recency of any documents mentioning them, and further validation of the phone and email address. The highest possible score is a 100, and in this case, Tyler checks all the boxes. Now it's time to update your CRM. Pursuit has integrations with both HubSpot and Salesforce, so updates just appear like magic. But the world is not a static place, and your contact data shouldn't be either. People change jobs, they retire. Imagine 2 months later, Tyler retires. Pursuit reads a news article or a LinkedIn update, or one of many other possible documents. Tyler's confidence score will be instantly knocked down to reflect his retirement. A fresh search for the new director of finance will be automatically kicked off. In this case, Pursuit found a news article announcing his successor, Ava Jones. Pursuit will follow the same process described earlier to find and verify Ava's contact information, resulting in a score of 100. Next, Pursuit updates your CRM. Tyler will be marked as inactive, so your team knows not to contact him anymore. It'll also mark Ava as active. Now we're ready to act. Let's generate some pipeline. You'll notice that your contacts are up to date in your CRM. If you're using HubSpot, your contacts will be updated in all your applicable entities and lists. Then you can add them to sequences to begin outreach. If you're running Salesforce, Pursuit will update all your accounts and contacts. Then you can sync these updates into any sales and marketing platform you use, such as Marketo, SalesLoft, Outreach, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, or any other. With Pursuit, your contact info will be on autopilot, so your team can spend time generating and closing pipeline. At its core, entity intelligence tells you the win probability for each account. From there, your sales team can design territories, quotas, analyze TAM, and most importantly, close more deals. To get started, tell Pursuit which types of entities you want to target. For example, municipalities, counties, and school districts. Then filter your targets even further, based on population, student count, sworn officer count, or whatever other parameters help you define your target customers. If you're not yet sure who makes the best targets, just stay broad. Within moments, you'll have a list of every government entity in the country that meets your parameters. Usually figuring out this list takes months or even years to nail down. Now you can do it in seconds. Next up, Pursuit will figure out who your best targets are based on 3 types of data inputs. 1, your own CRM data. Pursuit connects directly to your CRM and reads your government-related opportunities that are closed won and closed lost. For each deal, we pull relevant data for our models, such as entity name, product or service sold, sales rep name, competitors on the deal, new or existing customer status, and more. 2. Publicly available data on each of those government accounts. Pursuit reads every web page, PDF, and meeting transcript from all 90,000 units of government in the USA. We know what's happening in strategic plans, what's gotten more attention in the budget, what their software spend is as reported in their annual comprehensive financial report, and what's being discussed in board, council, and committee meetings. 3. Broad data from government databases. Many federal agencies produce data that is useful in account targeting. FBI produces crime stats. Census produces demographics. HUD produces data on where its loans are issued. NOAA produces climate statistics. Then third-party organizations, such as the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, produce stats on municipal bond issuances. Next, Pursuit pours all that data into a machine learning model, and out pops a win probability score for each product at each account. This tells your sales reps who to target when and about what. Best-in-class companies have done this analysis once, albeit with less input data and using less accurate modeling techniques. That's great, but we don't live in a static world. Your competitive environment is changing, and government entities are changing. So must your account scoring. Pursuit machine learning models update your account scores nightly based on 2 factors. 1, your own data. You're marking deals closed won and lost continuously. Pursuit passes that data automatically back into our models. This way, when you offer a new product or service that better positions you to serve a new type of customer, your account win probabilities will update automatically. 2. Data from the outside world. Governments aren't standing still. Contracts are expiring. New budgets are passed. Council meetings are happening every week. Maybe one of your best customers moved to a new entity. All this data changes your win probability on a day-to-day basis. At Pursuit, our mission is to make working with government as easy as possible. While account scoring is super useful when designing sales rep territories, determining quota, analyzing total addressable market, that's not the only reason why Pursuit exists. We want to equip AEs to close more deals, faster than ever before. Pursuit dynamically updates your win probabilities in HubSpot or Salesforce. This way, when your reps sit down in front of their monitor in the morning, their targeted list of accounts will be the ones they're most likely to close. Due to our Salesforce integration, your marketing teams can also execute campaigns in whatever platform they choose. If pipeline generation is a priority, we should talk. The first 2 topics we covered today were about Pursuit selling data. The last one is different. Pursuit selling outcomes, more closed contracts. Pursuit can also be your BDR, SDR team. We'll commit to putting meetings on your AE's calendars every week, and we'll use our proprietary systems in order to do that better than anyone else. For each of our clients, we follow a 3-step process: research, test, scale. Research. The first step is to set up a research consultation between your team and ours to go over your value proposition, competitors, and target entity profiles. Even if you are new to government, we will use our private sector expertise to find and identify your target market, personas, and buyers. Test. After our research phase, we run multiple cold outbound campaigns to test your personas and hone in on your targets. We want to ensure that the value prop is clear and prospects understand the problem your company solves. Scale. After testing, we use Pursuit's contact and entity intelligence data to scale outbound outreach to all states or territories you are targeting. What separates Pursuit's pipeline generation team from other BDR, SDR teams is our focus on opportunity quality and customer fit, made possible using Pursuit AI. Your outbound leads should feel the same as inbound to a sales rep. This leads to higher conversions, higher win rates, and sales productivity. Let's bring this to life with an actual Pursuit client, Revela.
With me today is my good friend Grant Drzyzga, founder and CEO of Revela. Revela, for those of you who aren't familiar, is a Detroit, Michigan-based software company about Series A, doing really well from a growth perspective, and Firstmark, the venture firm out of New York, is one of their backers. So Grant, thanks for taking the time to join our spring release today.
Of course, Mike. Happy to do it.
So, Grant, I think if you could first share what Revela does for the private sector, talk about who some of your customers are, what your product does. That'll kind of set the context for what'll come next about how you're working with public sector.
Absolutely happy to do that. So, Revela, first and foremost, is a property management software company. We started the business about 10 years ago, so we'll be 10 years old in July. And our primary lines of business are accounting, enterprise resource planning, tracking work orders, managing projects. I mean, think of us as a big kind of engine for running complex portfolios of real estate. So we work with property management companies, both locally and nationally, large multifamily investment funds. I mean, anybody that has physical space that's leased out is a target customer for us.
Gotcha. And in terms of like the stuff that they're doing in the actual app, like maybe list a couple, you mentioned kind of accounting and things, but like what are some of the use cases? What are they trying to do?
Yeah, really understand their portfolio and manage the workflows that are core to the business, right? So the entire leasing process, the entire maintenance process, really understanding, which items are where. So inventories of units,
Totally.
managing vendor relationships. I mean, it's really a holistic tool for understanding and extracting data that's usable out of your real estate business and portfolio.
Awesome. So thriving private sector business, there's a couple of what I'll call public sector, one municipality, one university. Talk to us about each of those. Maybe step through them. What was the problem that they kind of shared with you or that they approached you about? What was your solution?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting and serendipitous. We've sort of come full circle on the university side. So Brown University, my alma mater, was our first customer ever. Um, and so now that we're getting back into that business with Pursuit, it's great to kind of flex those old muscles and think about that space a bit more.
Yeah.
Really, when we started working with Brown, it was early 2016. And their auxiliary housing practice, which is all of the off-campus real estate that's owned by the university, was being managed in spreadsheets and random posts on websites. And I mean, it was just kind of a disjointed, discombobulated mess.
Yeah.
What we were able to do with them was bring kind of all of those things together, right? So the houses for the graduate student program, the houses that students were living in instead of the dorms for special circumstances, the visiting scholar stuff, the
Yeah.
faculty housing stuff, and all of the commercial parking and multifamily stuff that they invested in over time. So you can't really run that on the traditional systems used for, managing dormitories or other kind of physical properties on campus
Why
because the
not?
use,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's a bit more high touch. You're dealing with tenants, they have issues that kind of come up from time to time. So again, creating that repository where everything was
Yeah.
together really was a game changer for Brown, and I'm proud to report that they're still a customer today. So we
Amazing.
love Brown. They're great.
Yeah, and I can see how that same issue is for, both a university and also a private sector, multifamily housing development as well. Okay,
Yep.
cool. That was customer number one. That was Brown. Now talk to us about Detroit. How did that come up?
Yeah, so the city of Detroit's been an awesome partner of ours for the last 2.5 years. They actually approached us about the asset management division of the city actually approached us since we're located here about creating a database of all of the HUD loan projects that they
Yeah,
have kind of standing or that they have outstanding. So the city's allocated a certain amount of money every year to basically write loans to developers to create more affordable housing options in the city. They really kind of didn't know where a lot of those loans were, what phase they were in, was the project done, was it not? There wasn't, I guess, an easy way to sort of see everything in one place.
yeah,
So we really started there. And then as we kept getting into the weeds of discovery with the city, it became very clear that loan servicing or the servicing of those loans that they were writing was really the core issue that they were trying to solve for, not just the databasing component of that. So we ended up working with them to write a loan servicing component to Revela. They now have basically a database of all their loans. Amortization tables have been basically updated and caught up, which was an issue before. The prior servicer, for lack of a better word, really wasn't doing their job. And we actually were able to take the city from like a 30 to 40% collections rate annually to
Amazing.
85 climbing right now, which we're very, very proud of. And,
Yeah.
as a taxpayer, and I know you're a taxpayer as well, it's great to see those funds going back into the city and making a difference in revitalizing the communities here.
Absolutely. That's a great case study. Actual better collections on tax revenue, like kids benefit from that, roads benefit from that, public buildings benefit. There's so many good things that happen for the city of Detroit. So congrats on that. And so it sounds like in both of those cases, is it fair to say that they were like pretty opportunistic?
Oh, absolutely. Brown, I was kind of as an alumni, just sort of nudging, like, "Hey, I'm doing this thing. Could you help us out?" So eventually, after a few LinkedIn messages back and forth, we got there. And once the need was kind of made apparent and scoped
Yeah.
within the university, and then yeah, with the city, I mean, it was just a cold outreach, through the link on our website.
They reached out to you, yeah.
Yep.
So the product that you were offering in the commercial or private sector was relatively easily, I'll say, ported over into the public sector. How much product work did you have to do behind the scenes?
For the university space, not very much at all. For loan servicing, we did have to build out basically the infrastructure to have statements, mail statements, again, like that was more of a build process. But ultimately it's valuable because we were able to take a lot of the work we did for the city of Detroit and actually use it with private sector clients as well. So there was a,
Awesome.
definable need sort of in both spaces, and it really worked out well.
That's super cool. And I think, that's something that we at Pursuit hope to do a little bit more. So I guess walk us through your thought process of, you had you had a university contract, and you had a municipal contract. You could have built your own sales team and said, like, we're going to go after this. Did you think about that? Like, why work with Pursuit in the early days?
Oh, I spent many nights up very late thinking about that. Really, the challenge and where pursuits kind of come in and been a godsend for us is the barrier to entry for both universities and government contracts is super high, right? You're
Yeah,
combing through individually managed lists of opportunities, disjointed RFP processes, opacity in terms of like how these opportunities are priced and all that stuff. I mean, it's a lot of work, and in most
totally.
cases the juice, like, really isn't worth the squeeze. So taking out sort of that upfront legwork of like, hey, what is every municipality in the country, or what is a
Right.
list of every university in the country, and who can we reach out to that would be target for us for the product that we have. It's just easier to go to like, hey, property management companies near me, let's send out some emails, let's close some deals, and let's move on. So
Yeah, right.
working with Pursuit to really fill that top of funnel and work those leads early has created a bunch of opportunities for us in a relatively short amount of time, which has been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think the way we think about that is kind of research, test, scale, right? So, when we first started working together, your team was super helpful sitting down and understanding what's the pitch, what's the problem, who's the buyer, what exactly is the pain that they deal with on a daily basis? Why do they care? What are they motivated to do? All the kind of food for thought that anyone trying to, go out and book appointments would need, so that gave us some hypotheses on how we could start reaching out to people. Like you said, we brought to the table the list of municipalities, the list of universities, and every contact, in those different entities of government, right? So, we were able to kind of scale up. We actually used your CRM system for starting to send outbound emails and testing things, and we're getting some great results from that. So it's super exciting to see.
Well, I'll say, as a happy customer, right? It's sort of like manna from heaven, seeing the Pursuit system, continue to upload more opportunities, find more potential people that we can do business with, and it's all automated. I mean, it's really, really quite cool to just log into our CRM and see, oh wow, we made 500 new company records, and each one is basically qualified and ready to go.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So, and then if we we can repeat the same thing that the value that you were able to do with Detroit and with Brown, I'll be a happy guy when I'm an old man. That's a meaningful contribution to our country. So kind of running with the theme of how might your government, kind of focus, the government sector of your business evolve. How do you walk through a couple of scenarios there? Like, let's say over the next 6 months, you do win some more deals. Would you imagine you'd start to build out a sales team of AEs who are specifically focused on government? How much how much would you have to market Revela as a company facing the public sector versus private? What are some differences that you might think through there?
Yeah, I think eventually it makes sense to bring in a few AEs to actually work and kind of close the deals. Really, the top of funnel piece, you guys are doing such an awesome job with that it really doesn't make sense to go in a different direction there. Yeah, so I mean, I think that from my perspective, we want to do more government business. The government obviously makes it very difficult to do business with them. What
Yeah.
I'd say the Pursuit solution does for us is it makes it easy and it removes a lot of those. I mean, I said it before, but a lot of those barriers to entry that companies in a similar position to us just you don't have the bandwidth internally to overcome. So
Yeah.
a tagline for you, Mike, could be "Make working with the government easy," because
Yeah.
that's
Well,
what we've done.
that is that's literally our tagline. I say we like to our mission is to make working with government easy. And it's, now we're focused on the business development side of pre-sale. And you and I both know as founders, it's better to focus on a really small part of a broader problem and nail that first and then expand out. And so that's where, I think if I were to summarize our focus today, it's really on two things. It's understanding who the buyers are and who the users are, like every contact in every government entity, number one. Number two, it is, and this is relatively new, and as we get more data with Revela, this will start to really sing, I think. But the second part of it is based on who you're what deals you're marking closed won and closed lost, that teaches us, right? So for instance, in the city of Detroit, a city that gets a lot of HUD loan volume, the HUD database is public, right? So if you're able to watch how the loan volumes are being allocated from states and then down to cities, that is one factor in determining your outreach, right? And there are many, many others. If you're a software company, there's a regulation now as of 2022 where every municipality, county, every public entity in the country, they have to produce an annual comprehensive financial report each year that actually literally says what they're spending on software, which before that was not a thing. So now if you know, hey, these people have a lot of HUD loan volume and they're actually a pretty good buyer of software, those are two factors that would say Revela should be reaching out to them. And then, like we said, we got all the contact data. So our hope is that we can massively scale up the productivity for you on the outbound side. But then later on, there's a lot of other work that we'll do related to, RFP response and contract negotiation and compliance. There's issues all over the place. But I'm really grateful because one thing that I hope others hear when they hear you talk is it's not as hard as it used to be to begin to work with government entities. And I think the country would really benefit from people who kind of woke up to that idea and broadened their, the scope of their business to serve public sector as well. So I really appreciate you being with us, Grant, and wish you all the best in the future of Revela.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Same to you.
On behalf of Team Pursuit, I hope you're half as fired up about our spring release as we are. If you're interested in learning more, please reach out via our website, pursuit.us/demo, or you can email me directly at mike@pursuit.us. I'd also love to hear from you if you have thoughts on how Pursuit could help your company compete better for government contracts. We're learning every day, and our roadmap is shaped by people like you. Thanks again for joining, and we'll see you back in mid-August for our summer release. Take care.